So, let's see where everyone went. Apologies again for the texture pop-in, this was still me experimenting with the settings.
Oh dear, my arm. And
So yeah, the explosion has left Clank a bit stuck.
what have I done?
Don't worry, he's armless.
Yeah, it's like that that piece of DBZ bridge. Looks like he's been disarmed.
Let's go for a ride.
Yeah. Wait, I have to find my friend.
Let's check instead on what happened to Nefarious. Okay, here's an example of what I was talking about in the previous part. You're about to see Nefarious exulting joy, but you can tell he's gonna be mocked, and he's gonna look so fucking weird. Like, what the hell?
Notice our technology of motion capture.
This feels so weird because, again, Nefarious was always over the top, but was always specifically over the toply animated in the previous games, like in A Crack in Time. This feels like my brain is has to compute this.
So, do you have any idea what you're gonna do when the...
That's the assistant of the actual Emperor Nefarious, which is supposed to be a take on Lores, but honestly she reminds me more of Chairman Drax. Oh, by the way, here's the title. Chairman Drax, a robot assistant from their imagining. But again, we will have time to process all of this.
So, Nefarious, you succeeded. Do you have any idea what you're gonna do when, you know, the you from this realm returns?
Well, we shall see, all in due time. For now, let's pick up what happened to Ratchet instead.
It is very convenient that Nefarious literally got beamed into his counterpart's office.
Well, remember, he had calibrated the... oh, that's one of Rivet's original concept arts. He had calibrated the dimensionator specifically for this dimension because he wanted a place where he always wins. So you can make the argument that while the dimensionator exploded, Clank did not have the time to reconfigure it, so it just gave him a boost.
Like I said, it's lucky that Nefarious gets teleported right to his counterpart's office,
Trust me,
but...
there are already different ways on which some parts of the plot will be contrived, so I am very, more lenient towards this.
I will give it credit. At least, you do have a point that at least we can assume that Nefarious was calibrating it to, like, I don't know, his biometrics, so maybe it was meant to benefit him, but wasn't ready for Ratchet and Clank to also get caught in the mix as well. Again, still more of an explanation than how the time travel works in Sly Cooper Thieves in Time.
Basically. Anyway, the menu showcases pretty much everything that you need. Again, a relatively detailed map, character biographies, which will be revealed in the extras, so don't worry, I'm gonna read those later. The gadgets and weapons that you acquired, and also the collectibles that you have. You have returning gold bolts, even though they're not entirely made of gold, but more partially ruby, so... The infobots, which will act kind of similar to the infobots, but they're also serves to be the parts of a rhino, as you'll be able to see, and lorbs, which will be discussed in a later part, so I will save those for later.
You know...
Bro, that's racist as shit.
You know, I will say this, if it weren't for Rivet, one could maybe have come to the conclusion that this realm is actually what eventually happened to the 2016 timeline. Like, Nefarious came back, even crazier in that version, apparently, since, according to the movie, he's basically Joker insane after becoming metallic, so...
Well, it wouldn't still gel well, because when we actually will meet Emperor Nefarious, he will not be voiced by Armin Shimmerman, and instead, even outside the appearance, which, would fit in instead what you said, his demeanor will be less crazy and more posh, shall we say.
Please let there be good news behind here.
What I'm wondering is, like, maybe it could have been implied that, over time he upgraded his body and, when he finally took over, maybe settled down a bit, essentially, kind of similar to what was implied with the Joker in Dark Knight Returns before Batman comes back. especially since apparently that's in the same continuity as All-Star Batman and Robin, which
Yeah, sure. Keep telling that, Frank.
which implies that Batman must have seriously, and I do mean seriously, taken some medication to calm himself down from how he was in All-Star Batman and Robin to be a lot more calm and subtle in Dark Knight Returns.
Alright, here instead you're meeting this version of Miss Zircon. I don't remember who she's voiced by, but she's definitely putting a bit of a sassy black woman stereotype voice going on.
But you gotta be less conspicuous, or the resistance will not last.
The resistance?
Wink.
Oh, apologies, sugar.
The Sonic Underground!
No.
So shitty songs.
Hey, well, most of those songs were good, some element were actually bad.
Hey, what a coinky dink. Although, unfortunately, still missed the timing.
Clank!
Courtney Taylor is who voices Miss Zircon.
This version of Miss Zircon, yeah. This is also what I meant when I said that the shopkeeper function should be introduced with this one, because it's practically identical and it makes sense now that, Miss Zircon will be the one selling you weapons and they will be presented by Zircon Jr. because his presence in this dimension makes sense for the way he is, even if we have discussed how his voice can be a bit grating. Story-wise it will make sense, so giving that shop at the beginning of the game really feels like a bit of a misstep. But here's a new weapon in the meantime, Mr. Fungi. This is basically your replacement to Mr. Zircon, basically a moving turret which talks funny.
Get it? Because we're in a different realm, so now it's Mr. Fungi instead of Mr. Zircon, because I think the implication was supposed to be that in this realm, the Zircons are actually friendly. Again, like Tio mentioned,
yes
it gets
no.
messed up by the
Zircon-
fact that we...
Zircon is here in this dimension. We will actually meet him later, but he has chosen a slightly different path. But I can mention now, one of the damned out concept that surfaced when the PC version was released is that Mr. Zircon was still supposed to be a weapon that you could use, but probably got scrapped in development and replaced with Mr. Fungi. So I don't know, maybe there was a plot reason why Zircon will return into the fray or something. Let's just say that one big thing that people discovered is that almost the entire arsenal of the 2016 reimagining was supposed to return in full capacity. And a couple of weapons from that do return, but not all of them. Which also explains the lack of a couple of weapons types in the main game. For example, there's no Groovitron, unfortunately, and no Morphing weapon, because the Sheepinator was supposed to return from the 2016 reimagining, but it didn't. There is a mod that actually restores some of these cut weapons, and they do work for the most part, but I haven't bothered to actually give it a try because I didn't want the risk to actually have the game crash or some stuff. Besides, you already know how the weapons functions because they're from the 2016 game.
But yeah, that's the thing about PC ports, essentially. If anyone can pretty much hack apart a game and pretty much analyze it down to the very microfiber, it is us PC players. If only because that's kind of the nature of a PC program anyway, to be pretty much hacked up like that, essentially, so you can analyze every component, even if a game's not released and whatnot.
Alright, thanks to this side mission, where you can get the info about of Nefarious City, you're getting introduced now, earlier than you normally would, to the Nefarious guards, and I love them. Okay, even the ones in A Crack in Time had some banter, but you could barely hear them in all the chaos, while here they're more, clear, helped also by the subtitles, and their personality is Futurama-esque in the sense of being very jovial in wanting to eradicate you at the same time. They're really fun to listen, I will say that.
It's good to see they love their jobs. But yes, as Tio's also showcased, one thing you'll notice is that this is possibly the most interactive set of environments you'll get from a Ratchet & Clank game. obviously from the uptick in technology, but man, it's crisp, it's grand, and almost anything you see you can interact with in some shape or form.
So in this dimension, Mr. Zircon was divorced and he's really not taking it well, hence why he's not a weapon in this game.
Oh, you'll be seeing Dweebs. I think two parts from now. For now, we need to infiltrate. Jesus, what the hell? Okay.
We should do something. Should we do something?
Maybe the
No,
next
back
one
to
will be
work.
nicer. Oh, you piece of shit! Nobody likes a
Snark.
tattletale.
Tio, are you channeling me when playing this game?
Unfortunately.
Oh god, red faction dweebs at the helm.
Alright, for now I'm also gonna get the gold bolt that is in this area. Again, I'm gonna showcase me getting all of them, so don't worry about that. Again, to add on to what Jova was saying, one particular thing that I enjoy about this game is that Insomniac, compared to a lot of games published by Sony released recently, is that Insomniac perfectly understands the player's way of control and does everything in its power to try not to waste the player's time as much as possible. You don't have segments where Ratchet has to shimmy through a narrow path in order to reach the next area to mask a loading screen. You don't have sequences where Ratchet has to walk slowly. Like, there is one, and it really lasts 5 seconds, and I really could actually missed it, It really doesn't stand out that much in terms of hampering you, And in order to explain everything, it either does in dialogue in-game while you are free to move around as you please, or it actually establishes it as a cutscene the way it should, Which I'm really grateful for this game, which, if anything, makes me really wonder what the fuck happened with Spider-Man 2, because that game feels the complete polar opposite with that. Hey,
Oh,
how do we
God.
convey the fact that Peter and Harry were super friends? Yeah, I know. Let's have a very, very prolonged, slowest molasses sequence, including them actually riding a bike together.
Honestly, Spider-Man 2 in general just baffles me. You had a winning formula with the first game.
I
Just
wouldn't be too
refine
surprised if there
it.
were some mandates from higher ups, because it really feels really out of left field for Insomniac.
Also, another positive, as you may have noticed, you can wall cling and wall jump of just about any surface, it seems, if those blocks
I also sequence broke something that I was supposed to get later with another gadget. While the game does not have everywhere this kind of thing, sometimes it does reward you for being a bit clever.
Well, there you go, Tia, though. Like, a game that pretty much lets you interact with just about any surface instead of having to paint those edges yellow.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm gonna save that for later, Jova. Trust me, there is a better payoff. For now, we just need to actually get to the infobot. As for your arsenal, it works pretty much the standard way for the franchise. Weapons level up, maximum level is 5. Further upgradable in challenge mode, obviously, and each level unlocks a new branch of Raritanium upgrades, which will be introduced slightly later on in this part, thanks to Awesome Zircon. Let's just say that the game actually lets you collect Raritanium beforehand, just so that you can have a decent enough, amount, with you, so when it actually becomes available, you are free to customize a bit of weapons, the upgrades the way you want. Again, it's clever, game design, which I do respect for that.
can definitely see speedrunners having a blast with this game, honestly.
There are even accessibility settings specifically for speedrun mode, believe it or not. I don't remember what the specifics are, but they're even labeled as such, so, you know, the game accounts for that. I don't know if they were actually added in a later update, or they were there from the beginning, but they are pretty much, you know, a lifesaver for those occasions, if you want.
Interesting. Was this speedrunning in the sense that you can, like, pretty much turbocharge
Again, I
reading
don't know the
cutscenes and
detail.
whatnot?
Possibly. Again, if
Fair
I
enough.
had to guess, it's something tied to that.
That said, though, like, I mean, a speedrunner mode, that's something I don't hear of too much.
No,
in games,
especially
I'll
because,
admit.
again, the average game published by Sony these days tries its damn hardest to be not friendly to speedrunners.
It's essential that we make it feel like you're playing a movie.
Like, I
That's why.
really still like overall, in concept at least wise, and how to play the new God of War games, but my god, the slow factor really kicks you in the balls a lot of times. Anyway, we collected what we came for, the infobot, and we exit through the dust chute. Great.
Do, 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 do.
Alright, the thing about the infobot serves you to give extra lore about the planets that you're in this case Corson 5, which is original in this case. And the gold bots instead allows you to have a reward or a cheat. In this case they unlock stuff that normally you would have unlocked with the skill points, which are not anymore here. We'll show them later as well.
This city, it has been 10 years since Corson 5 fell, and this rotten place arose out of the ashes like a blood-eared pimple. The Emperor...
Well, bless my robotic biscuits.
Zircon got was oppression and slightly cheaper consumer electronics. Travel to other worlds has been heavily restricted, along with civil liberties and public crying. But with all the bleakness and despair and hideous architecture, there is one grace note. This is where the Resistance was born.
Hooray! More on that with other info. Alright, and now that we collected what we came for, it's time to resume the main plot. Now we need to find, as Mr. Zircon said, Club Nefarious. So follow the beat.
Club Nefarious, is it a gentleman's club?
No idea.
You mentioned Futurama, so one thing Futurama has plenty of is robotic versions
Yeah,
of the
you might have
gentleman's
noticed
club.
that outside of Ratchet and Regiment there are many organics, or squishies as Nefarious would say in this area. But before actually following further the beat, because you might have heard that it gets a bit louder, we can take also another diversion to discover one other type of side material that this game provides. Rifts, properly. Basically, with the dimensionator cracking up, there being these unstable pocket dimensions where some stuff has ended up in. So, you can actually enter those, there are a bunch of them on each planet. And each of them function as a mini obstacle course with, as a reward at the end, a piece of equipment, which is basically a piece of armor that allows you to wear as a set. I'll tell more in a second. Basically, if you played Astrobot, think of those as the PlayStation symbol Comet. Very short-paced, but slightly more difficult obstacle courses compared to the main game. In this case, you had the plot reason that the balloon from the parade ended up here. You even get an achievement if you bounce on them enough times. But the equipment, for example, stuff we're about to get, is basically something more akin to what the Mega Man X games do, at least the most part. You basically have three pieces that you might have noticed in the menu: helmet, gloves, torso, and the boots, that constitute part of a set. And there are different types of sets. You can mix match any one you want, and they come with aesthetic value. So you don't have bonuses while you equip them, but collecting them unlocks, specifically an entire set, unlocks a specific bonus, mostly about not being damaged by a specific type of enemy. So the game incentivizes you to collect them. I will showcase also this in the extra part, but needless to say, it's also also a neat touch because all cutscenes, all of them, are not pre-rendered. They're done with in-game engines, so the costume that you do get for your characters stays with them in the cutscenes if you want. I did not equip them for those, mostly for the sake of quote-unquote immersions, but again, I will showcase how they do look in the extra part. A lot of them are stuff that you can collect through here, through these, small pocket dimensions, but there are a couple that were added with a free update, not DLC, just a free update, and were included by default in the PC version, which are based around armor sets from previous games, including, for some reason, the too edgy for you Deadlock armor, standard armor.
Hooray! The throwback everyone was asking
My
for.
favorite.
I mean, again, I guess it is to showcase that this is meant to be a celebration of the whole series.
Pretty much.
Even if, again,
you'll
the
see
start...
Joba again.
Remember, this is the game that finally establishes that Ace Hardlight is actually alive! I'm sure his
Somehow.
fans will be pleased to know. Yes, he's alive and jailed.
In Zordum.
I guess... Yes. Now, I think what they don't specify is, like,
There you
how
go,
he
here's your
survived.
one segment that forces you to slow to a crawl. And thankfully, like I said, it really doesn't last long, as you're about to see it. Even I can do stupid shit like jumping, so at the very least I can compensate for it.
No, you're breaking the immersion by jumping while walking.
This is me not giving a fuck.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could say Ratchet's tried to jump up to get a better look, see if he
Yeah.
can find Clank anywhere.
Maybe that too.
Perhaps.
Well, he's not looking for him, he's looking for the Phantom. Which is, of course, this guy that was wearing a hollow guise. Mizorkon told him
cover's
basically to
already
search him
blown.
in order to search for tools for Clank.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
The Phantom
Skid.
is an alternate version of Skid McMarx, and interestingly enough, he's also the one character's counterpart who's still voiced by the respective voice actor, in this case Jess Arnell, as you're about to hear.
Makes me wonder why they change up the voice actors for some of the counterparts, honestly. Like, they're still technically versions of the same people. Now, granted, obviously, if, like, say, they're a female version, then it makes sense to have, like, a different voice
Well,
actor.
okay,
but-
let me put it this way. With the Skid, I can actually understand why they kept also Jess Arnell, because virtually the character is very similar, but Rusty Pete and Captain Quark counterpart are unique enough that I think justify having a different VA. You'll be able to see when we actually meet them.
Alright, then.
For now, you just need to chase up the Phantom. Again, thankfully, for a sequence that while it feels scripted, it's not really, because you're just progressing through the level. If anything, again, it reminds me of stuff from the old Spyro games. So it really is cool to me that even after all of these years, Insomniac still has, at its core, the same kind of spirit of gameplay that they had since the beginning.
Okay, it's what games that try to be like movies should strive for. Yes, make something appear like it's part of the story and maybe scripted, but put it in a wide enough area where it feels like you get to really choose your own actions. It's a nice way of masking it also by showcasing it that eventually you have to search around for the Phantom to catch up with him, and then he basically leads you where to go to next.
Hello?
I think that minion may be glitching.
It's fine, don't worry about it. Now, it's worth noting, we'll mention also this already, it's not particularly apparent now, but it will become apparent later. While not as obnoxiously as in stuff like God of War Ragnarok, this game unfortunately also does have the issue of if the player does not figure the solution to a puzzle in like 10 seconds, the characters will point out immediately what the solution is. Again, it's not as grating, but it's still apparent. Also, look at that, here's the joke about the yellow paint. And it's the I like it because it's the one case where the edge has a yellow paint, so I'm pretty sure it's a very tongue-in-cheek joke. Every single other places that you can actually grab is highlighted in some kind of way, but it feels much more organic, so it really feels to me like Insomniac was just taking the piece. Which I do
when you think
appreciate.
about it, it kind of implies that Nefarious killed whoever usually paints the edges yellow. Since since the paint was dropped, which implies that they were killed mid-painting.
Also, speaking more about voice acting, yes, Mr. Fungi also talks and has a couple of bantering skills depending on which enemies you fight or the whatever you do. Apparently, the lore that you get from this is that the guy is used for party purposes, but he really doesn't like his job, apparently.
Something many can relate to, I'm sure.
I don't know who he's voiced by. I think he's supposed to be a comedian that they got for the role. Again, a bit similar to how Mr. Zircon is being voiced by Mark Grove for the most part.
Sorry, which character? He's
Mr.
voiced by
Funga.
Josh. He's voiced by Josh Dean, who, yeah, it seems like he's just starting off. He was additional voices in Miles Morales' Spider-Man 2020, and then he voices Ronaldini in the Date Everything game.
Oh, of course. Alright, here's what the Phantom gives to you. An enhancement to your Omni Glove.
What do I do with it?
Something that is very vital to this game, and believe it or not, a tad controversial actually. A dash move, the Phantom Dash. Basically, you do have this kind of particle effect, the afterglow thing, which allows you to pass these barriers. But it's also a multifunctional tool. Basically, it gives you an extra, boost upward when you actually, jumping through something. Hey, it's kind of like what Hunter tells you in Spyro 2. Cute. There you go. And it's also vital in combat because you have invincibility frame through the entire duration of the dash, meaning that you can literally become invulnerable to attacks if you time your dodges right. This apparently is the thing that was controversial to a couple of players because they feel like they streamlined the combat into trying to appease to the Souls-like genre. But the idea of, just make attacks that are immune, that are almost, undodgeable, and then introduce an invincibility meter to it. Which, I don't know, like, I can understand that it cheapens it a bit, potentially, if you're really dedicated, but I honestly thought that in combat I could dodge most attacks even without using the Phantom Dash. So I don't know, maybe I just don't know, the intricacies on the matter.
Personally, I'm fine with it so long as the game doesn't force you to use it during combat, and it sounds like it doesn't, so if you don't like it, just don't use it.
So here's the deal, the Phantom will actually help Ratchet find a ship on his own, because otherwise no one leaves, if he helps him do something to that Zeppelin.
So a version of Skid that's actually competent.
He's doing both the surfer attitude, but also trying to be super cool.
What's so special about the blimp?
Just find a way up to that rooftop.
You might have also noticed that he mentioned the planet where Rivet went, Sargasso. I can already tell you this. The fact that this is another dimension opens, obviously, as people might have guessed in development, the possibilities of what are alternate versions of planets that exist in, the other games, But it seems that most of the alternate planets that are present here that are not original planets, because a lot of them are actually, but the ones that are counterpart to ones from the original games are almost exclusively from the Future Saga, because the ones that are, that have a counterpart are Sargasso, the planet that has Ordum, I forgot its name, Ardolis, and the one in Track in Time, with the one where you met Alistair Asimov. I think there's also another one, but you get my point. Almost all of them that are returning are from either Tools of Destruction or Track in Time, which I guess the mentality was they're the games that are fairly more recent, so people will probably understand them more. And don't misunderstand me when say that, they did it just so they could recycle the asset, almost entirely, because in terms of having map design, they're completely different in how you navigated through them in their respective games. So no, they are actually just the locations that you remember, but rearranged in a specific manner. But again, you'll be able to see when we get to them.
I do think it is a bit of an issue, though, that they skew a lot more to the future series because, again, what Rift Apart strives out to be is a celebration of the whole series. Kind of weird, though, if you focus mainly on the later bouts of the series, and it's not even a case like where, oh, all fans love the future series. More like, no, there are quite a few loud ones who do still prefer stuff from the original trilogy. And I do get it. One could say Quark's meant to represent that original trilogy, but shoot, of all things, you could have included a rep like, say, Sasha from 3, or, God forbid, maybe one of the one-off characters from Deadlocked as well, since, for the most part, most of the reps are from the future series. And again, how the heck did Rusty P get in over Talwyn? Like, that,
Because
I
again,
still
the
need to wrap my head
pirates,
around.
they really, this particular game does focus on what the counterpart of the pirates are doing in this dimension. So I get the idea they wanted to do something, tied to that.
Oh, I do get that mentality. What I mean is, like, why was Talwyn left out in general? Like, I mean, and I get it. Parts were going to be a thing, but did it really have to come at the cost of leaving Talwyn out of yet another venture? And again, I wouldn't harp too much on this if it weren't for the fact that, remember, Talwyn's last canonical appearance, not counting the stupid trading card from 2016, was essentially Ratchet and Clank promising her that they wouldn't abandon
What's
her
with the
after she
bisexual
lost.
light?
I'm sorry, we appear to have stepped into Blade Runner 2049.
To be fair, again, this particular city is entirely cyberpunk core.
Oh, so much purple.
It's to show that it's evil!
Yeah, basically. Also,
Remember-
Emperor, get your eye bags fixed, Jesus.
It's to show that he's always watching.
Sure.
Big brother.
Wow. So this is basically turned into, it's like one giant version of Big Brother.
You literally just said that, but yes. Also, they really do want you to use off that effect to really showcase how cool it is that you can.
Again, I
basically
haven't
do
talked
the
about that.
equivalent
If you ever played, I know you did, Jova, but I'm talking in general. If one ever has played Bioshock Infinite, you would remember that one of the things that Elizabeth allows you to do is to open up Rift to do different things, like to grab a bunch of weapons, summon a friendly automaton or a distraction or something. And while not particularly common, one of them is to, jump between parts of the arena, and I guess we took inspiration from that to create those.
That would actually explain a lot. I'll admit. With how
Insomniac has
influential
a proud
Bioshock...
tradition of being fans of shooters in general since the early days of Wolfenstein and Doom, so wouldn't be too surprised.
I will say, I am surprised Bioshock, with how much influence the Bioshock series had, I'm surprised that Bioshock Infinite didn't get a lot more people trying to catch on to the whole Rift gimmick thing, which seemed like it would be something a lot of people would dig. It could be a case where the technology maybe wasn't there for a lot of companies to be that ambitious yet. But,
The whole multiverse craze also was not yet a thing, so maybe it was also a marketing thing.
I can just see it. I can just see it now. Big Brother do a crossover with Mr. Beast where they turn an entire town into a Big Brother house.
Jesus.
I mean, he's already basically doing Squid Game, so why not? But yeah, no, going back to the Talwyn thing, let's remember, chronologically, this comes after the game where Ratchet and Clank promised Talwyn that they would never abandon her, they'd always stick together, especially after she lost Kronk and Zephyr. Because remember, the comic really did help establish that she has abandonment issues ever since her dad left to help Angela escape. Which... yeah, as nice as that was, it is kind of weird that they have never tried to establish contact with him or Angela and whatnot.
Trust me, Joe, there is actually something that calls back a bit to what you just said, but it's slightly spoilery. It's for a part way later on near the end, so I will have to save that for later. More on that
Fair
also
enough.
later. For now.
Wow, where'd you learn how to drive?
Uh-oh. Well,
Like I touched a nerve. All right, deal's a deal. That's Glitch.
She's
Show how to get to the
adorable.
Emperor's private shuttle.
Aww.
Access console's in that huge statue of Nefarious in the center of the city. Just hook her up, and she'll handle the rest.
What are you doing?
Tearing this whole rotten world down from the inside.
You're not part of the Assassin's Guild. We will meet him later, don't worry, he doesn't exit the plot, thankfully.
Imagine if he got roboticized like his original counterpart did.
Thankfully no, but my potential guess on also the absence of Tawin might have been that maybe in an early draft they were considering the idea of what if she tags along and she sees in an alternate dimension a version of her father and her who are actually happy, but maybe later on down development they realized that, you know, it might have felt too cliched and was scrapped because, like he said, the plot of his game was clearly rewritten and a lot of things just really makes it feel like that, as in a couple of plot points just happen and they feel a tad rushed, particularly towards the end, and Insomniac did claim that the development of writing the plot technically went fairly smooth, but I have my reserves on that kind of statement for these specific issues. If they meant that, you know, it did not hamper them too much in, you know, in rewriting the plot we needed, yeah, I can see what they mean. But if it's more of a case of, no, we had, you know, an idea from the beginning and we stick to it until the end, that's when I have to question it. Anyway, new weapon time, the Negatron Collider, which is a charged attack but functions as a small laser. Unfortunately, it's not really as powerful as they make it to be. It is useful for some type of crowd control and to solve a puzzle later on in one of the mini-rips, but this is one of those weapons that I think should have been, you know, buffed a bit.
Regarding that statement on the writing, my take on what they're saying is, oh, we were able to write out a full draft and that went well. That's probably not counting any executive mandates or any time crunches that would have affected it, because yes, plot in a video game nowadays is important to implement, but seeing as how plot goes hand in hand with the gameplay, if, say, something in the game's development gets shifted around, I can see that nowadays affecting even the story, if it's like, say, a story bit is tethered to a gameplay bit that they want to do and whatnot.
Alright, before I actually go into the statue, let's actually do some minor cleanup, shall we? So
I will say this.
You may notice that Ratchet has his gliding boots, so even without Clank you can still glide over, you know. So at the very least they actually took that into account. Go on.
Knowing one thing that they do, which is weird between Ratchet and Rivet, part of me really does hope they're not planning to just write Talon out of the series, which, hey, that wouldn't be the first time they've done that with a Ratchet love interest. I guess.
Again, we'll have to see and then we'll have to discuss. Also, here's one of the things that you can do with a gold bolt. You can replace the type of, you know, the currency that you get instead of bolts, and one of them is soda cans. What?
Somebody was a fan of Fallout, I guess?
Those are not bottle caps, Joe.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing maybe it's a similar idea that people go gaga over a certain drink? I don't know.
There you go, I think that's all the gold bolts here. Gone.
Would you say this is probably the most fun Ratchet & Clank game to, like, complete, just with, you know, all the stuff you can do in collecting?
On that aspect, it's a tie between this and A Crack in Time, because I had fun with both, but I cannot tell which specific. This one is, thanks to its accessibility, settings, is actually a smoother process as a result. But I still do like what A Crack in Time did, so I don't know. I cannot tell you right now.
I was wondering if this was your favorite, because this definitely seems the most oriented to get stuff done as quickly as you please, basically.
Alright, mini-boss time, and similar to Tools of Destruction, this game loves to have its mini-bosses show up almost everywhere. Particularly, one of the two types is this, the Nefarious Juggernaut.
Look, so long as they don't do that dumb Arkham thing of making what's essentially a mid-boss into a big boss, I'm good.
Sorry.
Well, don't worry, we're safe here. Oh crud, no we're not.
What's funny is that you're technically in a location but you're gonna visit later anyway, and if you actually open up your map, because I tried it, you do actually are in a location. You're not even teleporting a specific location just for this place. You're just, teleporting a part of a map of a later planet. But because of the way the fight goes, it's over before you know it.
I love how the Mook wasn't even concerned with the fact that he had been teleported to a whole nother reality.
Because, again, this game understands that, putting soldiers with AI, they will actually, react accordingly to these kind of situations.
Is this one of those things where it's like, maybe it's hard, maybe it's cruel giving robots sentience?
So, I guess in this case, maybe Nefarious decided that if he has minions, he can at least make the minions be the non-sentient ones, while the citizens retain their sentience. Like, maybe this is Nefarious who, while evil, knows the nuance and actually can be charismatic enough to legit get people
the
to want to
Nefarious
work
of this
for him.
dimension is a complete bastard, you'll be able to see. For now, let's activate Glitch. This, if you remember, is a concept that was supposed to actually premiere in Going Commando, a bug-type companion to Ratchet and Clank that will help them act as, a key to unlock specific places. Glitch doesn't talk to Ratchet, because, it's just an hologram, but the thing is that you'll actually get to play as her. So the Aki minigame in this game is reconverted to a turret section, basically, the equivalent, with Glitch acting as, your spider mover. And she does talk while actually acting, and she's kind of a nervous wreck, poor girl.
So what are these, like, her inner thoughts we're hearing?
Basically, she just loves to talk to herself, again, Spider-Man style. And her entire arc is that she basically becomes more confident as she fights against the viruses.
Also, cyberspace has become a lot more intricate,
Yes, I was about to say, this is one of those games that actually tries to remember the whole thing about cyberspace being this, virtual landscape where chips and microchips are, towers similar to Tron and Mega Man X. But also Mega Man Battle Network, technically.
And Star Force as an extension.
Glitch, she's voiced by Sarah Amini.
Sarah Amini, let's see. Oh, she was in Return to Monkey Island in 22, played Yasmin Tazzy. She's in We Are OFK, plays Isha, Lily, and Dolce. She was in the Stillwater TV series, playing Yara and Ali's friend. And, she portrays Glitch and some robot pirates in this game.
Basically, with the shtick with Glitch is that because she's a spider, she can actually stick to surfaces, meaning that you have, very ample way to move yourself and orient yourself in order to dispatch the viruses. The next couple of sections with her, when they crop up, will, give you a better idea. I will mention something also about sections like these, the next part, where something else pops up. Yay!
Welcome back, your most majestic majesty.
You oh so humble, delicious hunk you.
Wait, does it mean or do you look different?
Wait a minute. If everything's a robot empowered by AI, does that mean that the Nefarious of this can literally program a girlfriend who adores him?
Well, let's just say that his ego doesn't actually make him do that, but again, only do time.
AI generated stuff it's not a miracle worker.
A throwback to the third game, where Ratchet was about to strike what he thought was Nefarious, but it wasn't.
Should have kept your mouth shut.
Oh, at least he did get to knock him out still.
Sir, don't you look really different the last time I saw you.
He's a pallet swap, yes. Alright, let's see.
I
Hold
was
on.
buffing out my design.
Let's see how to actually properly start this thing.
Welcome, oh master of us all. Password, please.
Of course.
Do his evil
Hold on.
laugh.
Closed with them.
Why do I need a password? I'm the Emperor. How about I obliterate you instead? Ha 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 ha
I guess it goes.
I also love that the... Jesus. I also love the touch that Emperor Nefarious just left the password there for anyone to pick, just in case he forgot. You might also have noticed that Nefarious does not have one of his recurring gags of the extreme stress and making him glitch out, unfortunately. I guess they did not want it to milk the joke too hard, but I do kind of miss it a bit, admittedly. But what can
Maybe
you do
the
about
idea is
it,
that
so?
he finally fixed himself enough so that he doesn't break down into a soap opera.
Possible. He still likes Lance and Janice, he will mention it later, so there is that. Alright, tune in for
Beautiful.
the next part where we jump back with Rivet and see what happens on Sargasso. See ya.
Alright.
Ta-da.